Welcome back to the Undieted podcast with Melissa and Rebecca.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that feels especially relevant, especially during this time of year, the red flags of diet culture and how to recognize and reject harmful messages, especially during the holiday season. The holiday season should be more about connection, joy, and celebrating with loved ones. But let's be honest, it is a harbor for diet culture, and it's loudest during this time with all kind of messages like earn our meals, burn off those pies. And as we start to plan for the new year, new you, all of those things I'm sure sound familiar. So, in this episode, we're unpacking how diet culture preys on the holiday season, how to spot these toxic messages, and most importantly, how to protect your peace, embrace food freedom, and actually enjoy your holiday season without guilt or shame. But let's get started.
I
Yeah.
would say, Melissa, this is definitely a topic that's true to my heart because it is often a topic that a lot of my clients bring up in therapy during this time, especially dealing with family members that may be pushing those messages as well.
We'll talk about the red flags of diet culture, starting off with moralizing food choices. So, we all have these phrases that we use. They actually get used all year round, but it really comes to the forefront during the holiday season because holidays are surrounded around food. And those of us that are trying to maybe lose weight, we're on this path to changing our eating habits. We get a lot of anxiety because, oh no, there's going to be a lot of bad foods. And we like to remove those bad foods, good food, and all of that, and really bring balance to your life so that you can start making it through holiday seasons without worrying about gaining weight and all of that. I spent many, many years in that cycle of gaining 10, 15 pounds during the winter season, then losing it before the summer, and then gaining it the next year. And it is possible to maintain a healthy weight all year round when you bring balance and food freedom into your life.
I should mention as well that with these labels of good and bad food is that it also increases, emotions like shame and guilt, which can be really hard to navigate like on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, like it also kind of creates this like default of, okay, I guess like if I had a bad food, I should feel shame, I should feel guilt, I should be sad. So it can also impact someone's mental health greatly too.
Yeah. Some of those phrases are, I've been so bad. I've heard so many times, well, after this meal, tomorrow I'm just going to eat salad. You don't
Mm.
have to do that or save your calories. I talk a lot about this on social media about don't save your calories. Eat breakfast, eat lunch, go to the dinner and enjoy it. In
Yeah.
a newsletter that I shared about 3 weeks ago, it was titled My Number One Secret to Not Overeating During the Holiday Season. And that is bringing a Tupperware with you because
Mhm.
oftentimes during these meals, there are a lot of options and we can't fit all of these options on our plate. So, what's a really good practice is to really look at all the food that's there, make your plate, and then everything you didn't get to try, make yourself lunch for tomorrow. That way, you get to try it and not feel the pressure of overstuffing yourself and eating everything at that one time. And then you have all these emotions of guilt. I overate. And you know what? I'm going to give you permission that if you overate, so what? So what? You
Yes.
move on at the next meal, you move on in the next day. It doesn't matter. Move forward. You don't have to make it up. It's not going to do anything to you that one meal. I promise you, if you just keep moving forward.
Yes. And I really like that technique of like having the Tupperware because I feel like that in a way could prevent someone from restricting and from binge eating as
Yes.
well, which like those two type of coping mechanisms, I'll say, like from an eating disorder perspective,
Hmm.
they exist because that guilt and shame exists there, right? Guilt and shame normally say, okay, like how do we make this up? Let's either restrict or binge.
Right.
And neither are good for our health, right?
Hmm.
So, that's really supportive to have that like Tupperware with you to say, okay, if I don't try everything, that's okay. I can try it the next day.
Exactly. And you keep enjoying your holiday meal. When we use the approach of saving calories, really what you're doing is because you're not eating all day, when you get to that final meal, you're going to get full like that. So you're not even
Mm.
going to be able to enjoy your meal. So you build your magic plates, you take it one by one, and you just don't have to eat everything. And you're not going to like everything anyways. So take it to go. So you don't have to feel guilty or any of that. And I want to remind you that food doesn't have morality, it's fuel, it's enjoyment. We talked about this last episode that it's energy in and energy out. So your food is fuel and it's meant for you to enjoy it and fuel your body and give yourself energy for the day.
It's also connection as well. Like, as you notice, like most of the major holidays do have that form of connection through food, right?
Mhm.
Belonging, being part of a family, or like even just doing like a friend's Thanksgiving, right? Like something to the equivalent of that it's part of, even just being part of a group.
Yeah.
So,
And the
yeah.
reason why the hosts make so many options is because to make sure that everybody finds food they enjoy. So it's not really meant
Mhm.
for you to have everything of everything, you know? So you have to make sure that you have a couple of options. If you make one vegetable, maybe there's a few people that don't like that one vegetable. So that is often why there are so many options to begin with. If you can reframe and view the holidays and view the holiday meals differently, you will make it through with a lot better mental state, less anxiety, and you'll really enjoy the holiday instead of feeling guilty and anxiety about it. So a lot of times people get ready with extreme restrictions. So they diet for a month or 2 weeks before this holiday meal, or they do it afterwards, or
Mm.
they do um, like intense detoxes and all this kind of stuff where they're on juice cleanses and
Oh
again
man.
labels stuff with labels. It's
I
your
think
personal
yeah.
lifestyle.
I think Melissa and I have talked about this like 100 times together is that, these companies that sell you these diets or cleanses or, you know, uh, new year, new you type of thing, like it's all based on consumerism. They all want your money and they do
Mm-hmm.
it at a time where people traditionally look at diet culture, which is between Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the new year, right?
Yes.
Ah,
These companies also have employees they have degrees in psychology. They understand the human mind. They know what marketing to use, what that individual just went through, and they
yeah.
prey on that to pull you in. And like you said, take your money and get you on this program.
Mhm.
If you are not building your own personal lifestyle according to you, it'll never work long term. It's like
Yes.
pretending to be somebody you're not. We
Yes.
can't pretend. We can't change our personality, right?
Mhm.
You may do it for a short period of time, but you'll always default back to who you are. And it's the same thing with your lifestyle, your eating habits, your exercise habits. You can build a personalized lifestyle that's just for you and you'll
Yeah,
maintain it for the rest of your life.
exactly. And another thing too that like I want to mention is that, when people do get caught in these like, advertisements for, new year, new you and these like cleanses and fasts and all these diets, it just continues the cycle of shame, right? and
Mhm.
continues the cycle of guilt as well. Um, for our listeners, if you ever want to deep dive into what creates shame, I do recommend Dr. Gaber Mate. He is a Canadian physician. He was recently on a podcast with Theo Vaughn. Um, his stuff is fantastic into looking into the origins of shame and the origins of guilt. And, sometimes it all comes back to, family influences during the holidays, like maybe seeing mom engage in all these fasts
Mhm.
and diets, during the holidays. It may also be like social influence. Maybe you have friends that are doing this and you think you want to do it too because you want to belong, right?
Mhm.
Not to go off tangent, but these are like, if you definitely want a resource, that would be like one that I would recommend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And oftentimes, when you have the habit, that's what it is, of feeling shame and feeling guilt, you have to break that cycle. You're not even aware of it anymore. You just connect being bad,
Yeah.
overeating, and automatically you feel guilt and shame. What if we practiced not feeling guilt or shame? And it'll be
Hmm.
hard the first three, four times, but the more you push, you're going to create a new habit of being okay. That is what gave me true food freedom, is breaking those bad habits, breaking those examples that I saw in other people, whether it be celebrities, family members, anywhere, news articles. There's always someone participating in diet culture. I saw a interview with, it was an old interview with, I think, Megan Fox, and she was on a
Hmm.
TV show, and they said to her, they're glorifying her because she's thin.
Hmm.
How do you maintain your body? And she's talking about how she goes to the gym for 2 hours a day. Who has the time to spend 2 hours a day in a gym every single day? We have jobs, we have families,
Yeah.
that's not realistic and it's not necessary.
For our listeners, I was just telling Melissa that I'm going through the toddler phase right now. I don't even know how someone even has an hour to themselves, let alone 30 minutes to themselves nowadays. So I agree with that, Melissa.
What are some things we can talk about to show restriction cycles that maybe someone may not be aware that they're even trapped in this? Because just like you wake up in the morning and it's automatic that you brush your teeth, I hope.
I hope so too,
these
actually.
these habits become so automatic that you're not even aware you're doing them.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just normal for you to go through these cycles of holidays coming up, getting ready for a vacation, any social event. If you have to change your body for an event or for a holiday, you're not living in a lifestyle that's personalized to you. You're dieting the whole year round,
Yes.
and that's not fun.
And it just leads again to that, like feeling constant shame, right?
One of the biggest reasons why I don't like calorie counting, many will say it creates awareness. True, because you'll eat and then you'll say, when you're calculating the calories, you may say, oh my gosh, I was really overeating there. The problem that I see, and it happened with me personally, it is hard to stop after. You have a hard time
Yes.
trusting yourself, wondering if you're still maintaining those calories. That's why I like the magic plate. I just help you build your plates in a way where you trust yourself from the beginning. A lot will teach you the calorie counting and then try to wean you off of it. You'll forever think about those calories. And that is something that I don't even want to introduce.
And that's great, Melissa. I'm actually really happy you do that because a lot of programs that work on disordered eating and preventing disordered eating, the first rule is we don't count calories. And a lot of people get really shocked when they hear that. They go like, "What? I can't even count my calories." And I'm like, "Nope." Right? It's like a huge adjustment for
Yeah.
their life and their habit because like in their brain It
Mm-hmm.
becomes such a habit to do that.
I get asked, how do you track what you're eating? How do you know that you're going to lose weight if you're not counting the calories? We revamp your diet. When you are eating whole foods, yes, some treats sometimes, building magic plates, you are not going to overeat. The structure of the plate where you're getting all the nutrients that your body needs, cravings come from a lack of. You will overeat when you are lacking because the
Mhm.
body wants something and our minds associate it to food. But if you are feeding yourself in a way where you're helping balance your hormones, your blood sugar, your cravings are going to come down, you're not going to overeat. Also, correcting that habit of emotion associated with food. So, if we can create other habits that when we're feeling sad or feeling happy that don't have to do with food, then you change that too and you create a caloric deficit. It's not only about the meals you eat. For example, I had a client that every time she was upset or she was stressed out after a meeting from work or her boss sent her an email, she would go straight to the cupboard, grab a granola bar, and sit back down at her desk. We started, okay, when you feel like that, you're going to get up, you're going to go for a 10-minute walk or even step
Beautiful.
outside, breathe the air, get refreshed, and come back in. She wasn't
Wonderful.
hungry anymore. It wasn't hunger, it was just a habit of being stressed out, needing sugar.
Yes. And in like my line of work, it's basically like looking at distress tolerance through like dialectical behavior therapy. Essentially, like why is it that our body feels it needs to, almost seek out dopamine in some other, aspect, right? Like it could be
Mm-hmm.
food, it could be drugs, it could be anything, gambling, but it's good that you're encouraging them not only to like use a form of grounding to center themselves again, but it's also really great that you're telling them that it may not even be hunger. It's your body sending a signal saying that it might be hungry, but it's not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So that's why phrases like earning or burning off those calories, it works against you. When you have MyFitnessPal or any other calorie counting app, you count your calories. You may look at the number and you haven't reached your total for the day. You're not feeling hungry, but all of a sudden you're hungry because you still have calories left. So you'll eat. And a personal story about myself, I've been a health coach since 2016, but I got certified as a personal trainer right before the pandemic. I wanted to go work in a gym and learn from personal trainers, but the gym's closed. So at the time too, I was eating a plant-based diet and I wanted to learn how to increase my protein intake on a plant-based diet. I have a background in nutrition. I knew I was doing what was right, but I'm like, maybe I'm missing something because how are they eating more protein? And just so you know, the way they eat more protein is 2, 3 shakes a day, tofu twice a day. That is not a way of eating that I wanted to continue to do. And we can talk about that in another episode, plant-based diet and veganism and all of that.
Yeah.
But they wanted me to track my calories. And I said, I don't do that.
Mhm.
And because I'm healed from my food behaviors, they said, I said, okay, I'll try for a bit. Let me see what they want me to do with these calorie counting. So I started tracking. It was annoying as heck, let me tell you, especially when you're a mom
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're getting rid of your kids' food and there's a bite left and you grab it and eat it, then you're like, oh no, how do I track that? It's ridiculous.
Yes, for sure.
It brought so much stress to my life that I actually gained some weight. And I didn't understand why I was
Yeah.
gaining the weight. I was stressed. I was overeating because the days that I didn't meet my calories, I would get a message in the app saying, oh, Melissa, make sure to eat more. You've got 200 calories left. And I'm like, but I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
Your energy needs are going to be different from day to day. And that's why calorie counting does not work. I believe I mentioned this in the last episode, but if you train lower body or train at all, you are going to be hungrier on that day than a rest day. So naturally on a
Yes.
rest day, you'll eat less because food is energy. and you'll be hungry on a day you're very, very active. So that's my little last. And my husband looked at me and said, I don't know why you followed their advice. You know this. I'm like, I know. I just wanted to test it out. And I'm glad I had that last experience because it allows me to really connect with my clients that are coming away from that. I get a lot of women that are, they've tried it all, they're sick of it.
Yes.
They've joined a last program where they couldn't eat zucchini, they couldn't eat carrots, they couldn't eat grapes, all these whole foods that they can eat. Plus, they're given a plan. And
Yep.
what this does to, if when you have a family, is you're always eating different than your family.
And that could be really isolating. And you know what? That in itself is one thing that a lot of like my clients too would tell me that essentially like they would feel like so left out that they were
Yeah,
stuck on this diet and their family was having spaghetti, right? And they're like,
yeah.
well, I can't have spaghetti. I'm on this diet or I'm on this thing that says I can't. Or, oh, like the fitness pal, says I can't. And it's just, it's chaos. It creates
I'll
a lot of
actually,
chaos for the client.
I will actually show for those that are watching on YouTube, I'll show two pictures. So last night we had wings and nachos.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So most people that are trying to change their life or they feel like they're making healthier food choices, eating wings and nachos is still a healthy choice. I built my magic
Yeah.
plate. If you see in the middle there, there's something called tabbouleh. And then this was carrots, and I made a ranch dip with Greek yogurt. There's the
Mm,
nachos, and the wings are up there. I built my magic plate. There is nothing wrong with eating these foods. You participate and you're eating with everyone else. You're not eating chicken and broccoli and rice on the side while everyone's eating chicken wings.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
amazing.
that's perfectly fine. And I actually have that's my spaghetti plate. That's how I eat pasta. We eat pasta.
Nice.
Sorry, I got notifications keep coming in, right? So you just build your plates, but you can have all of that. These notions that you can't have carbs, you can't have pasta, you can't have this, all of this causes weight gain. It's false and it's not true. So you have to give yourself permission to enjoy all foods without guilt. And maybe you'll need support during this transition to be able to start trusting yourself. It is hard to do it on your own. It really is.
And I should mention too, obviously, like, I think most of our viewers are clued in on this. If you do have any existing, like, disordered eating patterns that might be influenced by family or even like loved ones, obviously it's helpful to see a therapist
Mm-hmm.
to break those cycles and also to address that cycle of shame too.
Right. Yeah.
So, and another thing too that like I love that you're showing your magic plates too because you're also showing like it's okay to have what you want to have, right? I think that's where I do encourage people to think about, you know, um, why it is that you are labeling good or bad foods. Where did that originate from? And that's the first question I ask a lot of my clients, like, where did this come from? Who told you this was bad? Who told you this was good? Right? Like,
Mhm.
and it helps in a way like to also analyze what it is that it's constantly creating that feedback cycle that you need to have a certain food or not, right?
Yes. When you have food freedom and you're not afraid of foods anymore, it'll set you free completely because you reframe your life narrative. You're no longer someone invites you out to a restaurant or their house, you accept gladly, you get ready, you feel happy to go there instead of driving there. What am I going to eat? What am I going to have? I don't know if I can eat what they're serving. Unless you have a dietary
Yeah.
restriction or you're allergic to something, that's the only time you should really be asking the host, oh, by the way, I'm allergic to XYZ.
Mhm.
Aside from that, you should be able, the only two foods you avoid are ones you don't like and the ones that you're allergic to.
Exactly.
We also have minor sensitivities to foods. We're not always full blown allergic, but there are some foods that react differently. And
Mhm.
when you start to build this lifestyle for yourself, your own personal lifestyle, you start to recognize foods and you really get to build your own way of eating. And that is, it's an amazing thing, really. We're going to talk a little bit now about how to reject harmful diet notes and messages.
Mhm.
Okay. So you want to shift from trying to avoid to gain weight during the holidays to just enjoying it with your family and loved ones.
I love that. I
You
love
know,
that.
we got to stop focusing so much on our body and our weight gain. And also, if you feel bloated one day, you didn't gain weight, you just bloated. You ate something, you have a that
Yeah.
doesn't agree with you, you know? So really
Yeah.
avoid thinking about, oh, I'm going to gain weight and just enjoy the holidays. Food is really part of your celebration. It's not the enemy. You want to tune into your body, your hunger and your fullness cues. And again, that comes back
Yes.
to the dinners with all the options. Don't feel pressured to eat everything at one time. When you're full, you're full. You'll stop, take the rest to go. You can start to feel a bit of pressure in your belly when you're starting to get full. And you'll only really feel that if you're eating slowly. So I encourage you to eat slow, enjoy, put your fork down between your bites, look around, chat with people, and really eat slow. And if you don't finish your plate, you don't finish your plate.
I definitely have a recommendation as well, and I'll include it in like a resource section after we post this podcast. But um, I do have a hunger fullness scale, and it's a picture. And I've encouraged clients even to put it on their phone if they
Mm-hmm.
ever like need to take it with them to a family dinner. And the
Mm-hmm.
hunger fullness scale actually even lists out when most people feel physically full or still hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gives that person a bit of a benchmark of where they're at,
Yes.
where they might be almost reintroducing those physical cues in their body because maybe they're in recovery, or maybe it's something that they're working on with their therapist, their dietitian, their nutritionist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely include that in the resource section of the podcast.
Yeah, sure. That's great. So I'm just reading my notes here for those that are watching live. When you hear family members make comments, maybe they make a comment about your plate. A nice way to answer back, which I've used, is I'm focusing on enjoying the moment. I don't care about the calories.
I love that. And you know what? Another good one is focusing on I statements too. Like just even saying like, I just want to enjoy what I'm enjoying, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not focusing on calories this
Mm-hmm.
holiday, or, I just want to sit here and just enjoy the mashed potatoes, right? Like,
Exactly.
you know, boundary setting is one that's very important during the holidays. Uh,
Extremely. And
oh
you want
yeah.
to stay present, and because then when holidays come around, you automatically have a negative feeling towards it, right? And unless you
Yeah.
have an external reason, but if it has to do with food, you shouldn't, you should enjoy them. Something
Mhm.
that we had started when we were younger at my aunt's house, she used to have the big Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, Easter dinner. She had them all. My cousins and I started going for walks after the meal. So we just go
Mhm.
walk around for 20 minutes. That often helps you determine your hunger and fullness, because say you've eaten and then you go for that walk. If you're still hungry when you get back, then eat more food. But
It's also good grounding too. So let's say like you do have a hard time with family and they do push your buttons. Going for that after dinner walk is a form of grounding. At least you'll be
mhm,
able to calm your nervous system down before going back, you know.
exactly.
Um, One thing I should mention too, and this is something like I've done a workshop on that I'm more than happy to like bring back to the podcast, is I know a lot of people do have an ally with them at holiday dinners. So let's say if it's their mom, if it's their partner, if it's their sister, brother, whoever it could be a cousin. Having an ally with you to help you set boundaries is also a huge plus too. So let's say you do get that like I don't know, maybe uncle or your mom or someone commenting on what's on your plate. Having that ally to say, oh, wait, you know what? We don't care what's on our plate. Like, we don't, there's no talk here. Like, that's diet culture. What are you talking about? Having that ally with you can also be really helpful too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes I've had clients call me on the car ride to the
Yeah,
event, and we just chat and
that's awesome.
because it is a bigger issue than people know. A lot of people suffer with food anxiety around the holidays, and everyone's trying to lose weight, not eat too much. The more you try not to eat, the more you're going to eat.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And
So,
I'm glad that people reach out to you, Melissa, because like it's definitely like a time where which causes high anxiety and that's where like I encourage people to think of, okay, what will I do for self-care before and
mhm,
after the family event? What can I
exactly.
do for myself that I survive this?
And know this, that when someone makes a comment about what you're eating, it is something that has to do with them. A
Yes,
statement that really
definitely.
helped me in life general in every scenario is telling myself it's not personal.
Yeah, yeah,
Someone doesn't call you as much as you think they are, it's not personal. Someone makes a comment about what you're wearing, it's not personal. Someone makes a comment about what you're doing, it's not personal. Your food, it's not personal. Oftentimes they probably thinking, oh, I want to eat like they're eating. I want to not worry like
yeah,
they're worrying. We have
yeah.
been socially conditioned to overeat during the holidays, feel pressure to restrict and not eat and so on. If you go to the gym in January, there are 80% more people there than there are by February.
Yes, that's right. And like that's the thing is like I think it's also that by doing these steps, like people are ending that negative cycle that brings those holidays, right? Like that diet culture within the holidays and the new year, right?
Mhm.
So in a way it's kind of trying to create a social impact change too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, action steps for you during this holiday season is really to enjoy them, not worry about the scale, not worry because you're not going to change your lifestyle overnight, anyways. It's going to happen in phases. You have to take one step at a time, and one holiday dinner, two holiday dinners, some of us are fortunate enough to go to two or three, is not going to ruin your lifestyle overall.
Yes.
You want to stop looking at the short term and look at the long term.
Exactly. And that, also kind of consider like, okay, this one day, like, is this going to ruin like my whole life? Right? We want to avoid even catastrophizing, which is a cognitive distortion, right? Like we want to avoid that in all
Mhm.
aspects.
Yeah. I hope that this conversation was useful to you, that you will go into the holiday season with less fear around food, your body, and really enjoy the entire holiday season. And if you need any additional support or you have any tips to add, you can reach out to us on social media. Our handles are in the caption. We are more than happy to support you. And if you have any topic suggestions or anything like that, please bring them to us and we are happy to discuss them on further episodes.
Amazing. Thanks, Melissa. And also that I'll be adding the resources discussed today in the resource section when the podcast is posted. I thank you everyone for listening.